And we will go first to Ken Pishna with MMA Weekly.
Hey guys, just wanted to throw a question out real quick for Donald. Donald, you typically for most of your fights stay down in Albuquerque, I believe, at Jackson's to get ready. This time, you're coming home to fight in Colorado, but you came out here not to train in Denver, but to go up to Vail and train. What was the thinking behind training in Vail for this fight?
Oh man, Denver is some serious altitude, man, and going to Vail just press the lungs. Plus, man, I didn't want to, Melvin and I trained a lot together with Greg, and I didn't want to, I kind of went away from Greg on this fight a little bit and just tried my own thing. Not any reason other than I didn't want Melvin to think that Greg was giving me all his secrets and whatnot, So this fight between Melvin and I is nothing but professional. So it's no personal beef, no nothing. So just went away, went up to Vail, got my conditioning in order, and ready to go make some money.
Was there anything particular about Vail that kind of enticed you to go there instead of somewhere else?
No, it's just where I started my first started training. Plus, it's not a good spot up by the river. I don't know, just a good place to run and hang out.
And for Melvin, you, I believe, are still down at Blackzilians training for this fight. How has the transition been for you going from Jackson's out to Blackzilians and getting prepared for your fights there instead of down in Albuquerque?
Everywhere you go, things are done differently. You leave certain gyms and you go elsewhere and you learn different styles. I've adopted the Dutch style of kickboxing since I've been here. I have a tremendous stand-up coach with Coach Henry Hoff. I have another team full of another group of great guys. The transition hasn't been as difficult as it was the first couple of fights when back when I was fighting Lozon. Things were a little complicated because I was in between teams. I was undecided where I wanted to go. I'm a very loyal person, and it's hard for me to leave people when I have that heart and that emotional attachment. And that's what I had with Coach Greg and them. I have that emotional attachment. I won't say had, but I still have it. But sometimes you have to move on to get better at certain things, and I felt like it was a good fit. I'm actually taking off tomorrow for Denver so that I can get there a little bit early and possibly start getting acclimated to the altitude, because I knew when I lived in Oklahoma and I would go to Albuquerque, man, the first 4 or 5 days would suck. So I'm expecting the first 4 or 5 days to really suck in Denver.
Yeah, and we're a little higher here than Albuquerque, too, so that's probably good. But Donald mentioned that, he doesn't really have any personal beef with you. This is just a fight for him. It's, a regular old fight. And is that the same for you? You guys are still friends even though you're not on the same team anymore? Do you have anything personal?
Nah, I'm just playing. Nah, man, Donald's a good friend of mine, bro, and he's always been a close friend to me. The one thing I respect about Donald, he's always been a genuinely straight-up friend. Like, he's never told me anything I want to hear. He's always been honest with me. My wife loves him to death. He's like family, me and my wife been invited to his ranch a few times, and we hung out. And right now, it's just business, man. And, just because it's business don't mean we're not going to beat each other up, because we beat each other up in the gym, and a lot of people keep asking me who got the best of who. Well, just so everybody knows, Donald got the best of me quite often. His stand-up before I came here, it was a little bit tricky to hang with. He was taller than me, so I had my downfalls in the gym with him. But I'm a little bit of a different fighter now, and I'm expecting the best Donald Cerrone there is. And the reason why I'm so excited about this fight is that a possible win over Donald. It's like, he was a WC champion and he was a seasoned champion. He's a former champion and he's a tough guy to fight. And a win over him could definitely build my confidence going into my later fights and hopefully a title fight soon. So, like I keep telling everybody with the media, it's not about racking up win streaks anymore. It's about picking the right fight that makes sense. And I think right now for the both of us, this fight makes sense for the both of us.
Thanks very much, guys.
Well.
And we will go next to Chris Gabriel with Philadelphia Daily News.
My question is for Frank. Frank, this is going to be the second time you've had to go after a title in in a quick fashion. I remember after you beat BJ, you had to turn right back around and defend it. Now you're going after it again. I guess in such a short span of time, how much hungrier has it made you to go after getting this title back?
I'm hungry for every fight, man. Whether it's a title fight or not a title fight, I want to go out there, I want to perform well, I want to win. It's just the fact that the last fight, I wasn't the victor. It definitely gives me, some more motivation to go in there and try to, get some redemption.
And also to talk about what you may have learned about Benson after having this fight with him before. I mean, obviously, with it being such a short span in a time, I'm sure that there are things that you can vividly, recall from that fight. What do you think you learned from that kind of gives you an advantage, if at all, going into this one?
There's really no advantage because, the fact that I was in there with him, just not too long ago, he's also in there with me. So he got to see what I'm bringing to the table. I got to see what he brought to the table. I think it's gonna be a matter of who makes the best adjustments and who can come out and be the better fighter on the 11th.
Okay. And last question is for Benson. Benson, what do you expect from Frankie going into this one in terms of what you saw last time and what you think you will see coming up in this fight?
More of the same. Frankie's a tough fighter. We all know he's a lot better in rematches. It's one of his biggest things. His coaches are great. They always put together a great game plan for rematches and finding weaknesses and holes in their previous opponents. So for me, I expect, just kind of more of the same, just a lot hungrier, tougher, smarter, a more well game plan Frankie.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
No problem.
And we will go next to Odin Domingo with Arizona Republic.
Hey guys, how's it going? My first question is for Ben. Ben, you pride yourself on doing extra things and your other attributes like your flexibility and what has proven to be an incredible submission defense. What do you think you do in your training regimen that you think is different from others? And talk about how you think that helps you gain an advantage over your opponents.
What up, Odin? I think I don't really do much different. I think I do the same thing we all do. There's no hidden secrets of how to be a good fighter. There's no like, oh, well, we do this and this is what makes us so good at my gym. We do this and we do this. It's, the same as everybody else. We try and pay attention to fundamentals, try and add a few new tricks, try and work on the little things that help us get better. But that's it, really.
And obviously, you're very high on your coaches. Talk about them and how how they're different from you think others are, and how they help you and grow into the fighter that you are.
I love my coaches. Obviously I'm a little biased, but I think they are great MMA coaches for the simple fact that they are always trying to get better. They don't have all the answers. They don't say, oh yeah, you need to do this or you need to do this, and this is how they say, hey, this is how we're going to figure out. We want to figure out how we're going to get better. They're great at their specific, styles. I have a great Muay Thai coach, but he's always looking to get better as far as MMA-wise. I have a great head instructor, MMA coach in John Crouch, but he's always looking to get better MMA-wise, always trying to prove himself, which makes our team better, which makes myself better.
Thanks, Ben. And I just have one question for Frankie. Frankie, talk about how Ben is different from the other opponents you have fought so far.
I think every fighter is different in their own way, and Ben's just very well-rounded. He can pretty much do everything. He's got great flexibility, he's a big guy. He's explosive, and he's game, man. His cardio's always top-notch, and he's hungry.
All right, thanks, guys. Good luck next weekend.
Thanks, Odin. We'll see you in the AZ, man.
And we will go next to Rudolph Roman with The Roman Show.
And this question is for both Ben and Frankie. Both of you guys have had your fair share of experiences with rematches. What is it about rematches and facing opponents that you have in the past? And both of you guys, the question is for both of you guys.
Frankie.
Yeah, you get to see what your opponent's all about, but you get to see what you're about, and I think sometimes it's in rematches it matters on who makes the best adjustments and who can apply the best. But at this level, fights are so close. Sometimes it's who shows up that night and performs better.
Mm-hmm. And since Frankie, you answered, go ahead, Ben.
I definitely have to agree with that one. At this level, fights are so close. Fighters are so tough. Fighters are so good, so well prepared. A lot of times, it boils down to who shows up that night. Maybe you have an off night and you just you don't perform at your best. Some guys have bad basketball games. They don't have a great performance in a basketball game. Well, lucky for them, they have 82 games a season to redeem themselves and whatnot. For us, for fighters, we have to be on top of our game. Every time we go out there, it's not just this is just another game like baseball or basketball. For fighters, this is if we have a bad performance, this is for a world title. There's not a whole lot we do.
And my last question is, and again, it's for both of you. I guess this time we'll start with Ben. What adjustments do you make when you find a past opponent, and do you bring a surprise that your opponent did not expect from you? I
wouldn't say a whole lot of surprises. Obviously we've been in there with each other for 25 minutes before. We know the dance steps. I know what he does. He knows what I do. We felt each other out. I think it's more of a matter of who got better at the fundamentals, who got better at, making their jab 1% better, who got better at, their takedowns 1% better, not the flashy tricks and whatnot. Those are always nice, of course. Those are cool. I learned the cool new spinning backwards or whatever, or something stuff like that. But it's more about fundamentals. I'm big on fundamentals, and I'll always be big on fundamentals, trying to improve my basics. So it's a matter of that. And then obviously if you can add a few new dance steps, if you can add a cool new spinning back fist, then by all means add that into your game as well.
Frankie?
Yeah, the same here. You pretty much go in there trying to be a better fighter than you were last time. If you could do that, you definitely improved and you move forward. But you got to make sure you execute. If you don't execute, everything you did in camp doesn't matter.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll go next to Ariel Helwani with MMAFighting.com.
Hey guys, I had a question first for Donald. Just to be clear, Donald, is Greg not going to be in your corner for this fight?
What'd you say? Sorry.
Is Greg not going to be in your corner for this fight?
Oh no, he's definitely going to be in my corner. I just haven't been training with him for like the last 4 weeks. No need for anything with me and Greg other than I was just respecting Melvin and taking off and doing my own thing. I didn't want him thinking that by any means we were just working the game plan. Greg worked with Melvin a lot, and we were great teammates, and I didn't want Melvin, just thinking that that's all we were doing, just picking him apart. So, and not to mention Greg's got a lot going on back there at Jackson, and I took off up here to Colorado early and getting ready. So, Greg will definitely be here in my corner, though.
Well, then what do you think of that decision? That seems like a pretty honorable thing to do.
Man, that's why I keep telling you guys, every interview I've done leading up into this fight the last 3 weeks, I don't lie when I say, Cowboy's a stand-up guy. That's why I have so much respect for the guy. And, he didn't have to do that, you know what I mean? I was expecting him to be training with Coach Greg and possibly Coach Wink. But, like I said, we haven't trained together since October, pretty much. It's been almost close to a year. And I know he's a great fast learner, and he knows how fast I learn and pick up on things. And I don't think we're going to be the same guys we were when we were sparring partners. You know what I mean? And I think that's definitely something that's been floating in my mind since I've seen the fight between John and Rashad. And I didn't, there's definitely no beef there, but I didn't want to be naive the same way Rashad was and think that John didn't get better. In my mind, I feel like Cowboy's gotten better. He's tougher. And I think I'm just going to, I want to go into this fight and turn it into like an old schoolyard brawl. You know what I mean? I want to go in and fight him hard because I know what he brings to the table. And I know if you try to sleep on him, I can get the bad end of the deal. So I definitely got to bring my A game. But I definitely respect what he did as a person and as a fighter. And he's definitely got my respect till I die.
Donald, your last 2 fights, you had some freak accidents happen to you as far as your health is concerned. Anything crazy happened before this fight?
No, I'm all good this one, believe it or not. So, yeah, everything's good.
Okay. And a question for the champion Benson. This has been a pretty packed summer schedule for the UFC. There's a box event tomorrow. There was Silva, Sonnen, John Jones is fighting. For your first title defense, do you feel like it's flying a bit under the radar, like you're not getting the attention that you may deserve?
Until you just said that, no, I wasn't feeling that way. Thanks for bringing it up, though. No, I feel the UFC is doing a great job promoting the fight. I'm trying to do my job promoting the fight. I know Frankie, as always, him being a great champ that he was, he's doing a great job promoting the fight. I think the UFC has the full muscle, the full flex behind the UFC promoting this fight. I think it's a fight they want to promote. I think, Frank and I, whenever we get in there, we always put on good shows. We always put on great performances. And you better expect, we're going to do the exact same again.
And Benson, Frankie went out to Colorado a little early, and I know you're familiar with that climate, but when do you plan on getting out there?
I'm going to get there at normal time, but I did my training camp for the last 3 weeks. I've been here in Flagstaff, Arizona. Elevation's about 7,000 feet, so I've tried to be smart. Our camp, we're trying to be smart about the elevation and the high altitude, so we came over here to Flagstaff, and we've been getting a good training out here.
Okay, just one more for Frankie. Exactly when did you go out to Colorado, and do you feel at this point that you are now acclimated to the high elevation?
Yeah, I've been out here for a week now, and training sessions are going great. Every day gets better and better, and I do feel, I felt normal. I felt like I was back home, so I think I'm ready to go.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
There you go.
And we will go next to Adam Martin with The Score.
Hey, guys. First question for Frankie Edgar. Frankie, that upkick in the first fight with Ben, that hurt you. You said your nose was injured for a while. How's your nose feeling now, and is it completely cleared up, your nasal passages?
Yeah, it's good. I was a little banged up for a little bit after that. I take some rest, but, I'm good to go, man. I think that my nose breaks every fight, so I'm pretty accustomed to it at this point. But, it's been healthy all camp, so.
All right, cool. And for Benson, a question for you. Yesterday, Dana White said that if you don't come out successful against Frankie next week, you won't get an immediate title shot. Does that, or rematch, I guess I should say, does that give you more motivation, and does it put more pressure on you? How do you feel about that?
No, not really, not at all. Dana White is Dana White. He can say what he wants to say, and that's cool. I have no problem with any of that. But I want to win my next fight no matter what. Whether he says, oh, if you lose your next fight, you're out of the UFC, or if you lose your next fight, you'll be cut, or you lose your next fight, you got to go up to 170, or you lose your next fight, whatever it is after that, if you lose your next fight, I want to win my next fight, period, very badly. I think you guys sometimes don't understand the desire behind fighters and wanting to win our next fight. I don't care about all the other stuff. I just want to win my next fight, period. I don't care what the add-ons are on top of that. I want to win my next fight, period.
Okay, fair enough. And a question for Melvin. Melvin, you just had a fight, I guess, last month against Fabricio Camoy. So, what was the thinking about taking this fight in such short notice? Obviously, it's a great opportunity, but was there any hesitation on your part, knowing that Donald's obviously a very tough guy, and, you didn't have a full camp?
Actually, I never turn down any fights, And when Joe Silva and Dana and them call me personally and ask me to do something, I'm there. Like, I'm a fighter first, All the superstardom and all that shit is kind of on the back burner, That just comes with it. That comes with the territory. But like I tell a lot of people, some people are born fighters, and some people just learn how to fight as they come along and try to make something out of nothing. I remember as a 14-year-old kid, people thought I was crazy because I was into MMA. Now people don't think I'm so crazy because everybody's trying to do it. So I'm just one of those guys. I love to fight. I have well over 70, well over 80-something fights under my belt. And I've had a lot of tough fights my whole life. So when I took the fight with Donald, the only thing that I was kind of hesitant about, I didn't know how he would react to it. because we are such close friends. And it was weird because the night of the after party for the last UFC I fought in, I caught Donald and Leonard Garcia and them coming out of Tryst, which was the official UFC after party. We had just gave each other a big hug, and we chopped it up for a couple of minutes. And then we kind of just, went on to doing our own thing. We was like, hey, we'll catch up soon and we'll come see each other. And then next thing I know, I get home to Florida and I get a phone call while I'm on a golf course asking me, do I want to fight Donald Cerrone? And I was like, well, I never turned down any other fight. I'm not going to turn down this one, But then shortly after, I agreed to do it before I signed the contract, I was able to talk to Donald on the phone, and we both agreed, hey, let's go and do this. Let's go get fighter of the night. Let's give the fans what they want, the UFC what they want, and let's go do this. And, once he okayed it and he was cool with it, I had no problem with it.
Melvin, you're obviously one of the hardest punchers in the lightweight division, but Donald's never been knocked out before. I mean, you guys used to train together, so have you ever, wobbled Donald in practice, and do you believe you have what it takes to knock this guy out?
No, I've never rocked him in practice because, in training, you never try to hurt your teammates, you know what I mean? And, you want to be as safe as possible. We don't get paid to train. We get paid to fight, and, the problem with a lot of guys is they want to go in the gym and find out who's the baddest in the gym. I don't care if somebody's better than me in the gym. I'm in South Florida right now getting the crap beat out of me. It's almost like I never left Albuquerque. And, I don't want to be the baddest guy in the gym. I want to be the baddest guy when the lights are on and everything's on the line. He did drop me quite a few in training with leg kicks. I'm not afraid to talk game plan right now. Right now it's about me making sure I can check his leg kicks, you know what I mean? Because I know what he got with those kicks, and I know you're listening to me, boy. So I'll be waiting for those leg kicks. But other than that, nah, man, it's going to be a great fight. Donald's tough, I'm tough, and this is the first time we actually going to be able to throw punches and kicks and not have to pull them.
And just the same question for you, Donald. I mean, Melvin's never been knocked out, so do you think you can be the first guy to stop him via strikes?
Man, like I said, we don't ever try and kill each other in the gym. I hear you, Melvin. They coming, brother. Don't you worry. I'm gonna give it hell. I'm sure Melvin's never been knocked out, but I'm gonna kick his ass and kick him. So hopefully he don't block him.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot, guys, and good luck.
Thank you.
And we will go next to Jeff Wagenheim with SportsIllustrated.com.
Hi, I'd like to ask Benson a question. The last 5 months since you've got that belt wrapped around your waist, wondering how the added responsibilities of being the UFC champion, there are only 7 of them in the world, how's the added responsibility been in terms of fitting into the rest of your life? Has it been, obviously it's a great thing, but in terms of training and carving time out for this and that and promotion, how's that been?
I do agree. It has been. It is awesome. It is great. No complaints. But yeah, you're right. As far as time management, it has been kind of rough. At one point in time, after I won the belt, I wasn't home for like 6 weekends in a row. I had to go do the different functions and different things. And I mean, it doesn't sound that bad, but kind of terrible. Like every weekend, leaving on Friday, not coming home till Sunday, and then just traveling makes you tired. I'm not the best traveler, so it's been a little bit of a adjustment period, getting used to that. But once the fight gets closer and everything, I gotta tell the UFC, gotta tell everybody else, my managers, hey, I'm done traveling. I just want to train now. I want to get back in the gym. That's I'm a bit of a gym rat. I like being in the gym anyways. That's been the biggest difference for me. After winning the belt, obviously, we had a bunch of new guys show up at our gym, come over and want to train with us at the MMA lab in Glendale, Arizona. So it's been cool. It's been fun getting to see a lot of different people. They all want to come out and train together. So that's always cool. So it's nice to feel that.
Cool. I want to flip it around for Frankie. Frankie, it's been more than 2 years since you've walked to the octagon as the challenger. And I know once the cage door closes, a fight's a fight, but I'm wondering if you and I remember in some interview you even saying something like, you sort of wince every time you hear someone call you ex-champion. You don't like that part of it. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how that how that has been going in these last few months.
Operator, could we disconnect and reconnect Frankie's line, please? It seems like we've got a bit of a problem there.
Yes, we will do that right now.
Okay.
In the meantime, we can take the next question, please.
Okay, we will go next to Franklin McNeil with ESPN.
My question is for Melvin. Melvin, you talked earlier about Donald getting the better of you sometimes in training camp. Was that something you considered at the time the fight was offered? And if it was or if it wasn't, is it the fact that you're in this camp with the Blackzilians and your improvement in that area factor into your decision?
Yeah, I mean, when I say that, it's just me being honest. You know what I mean? There were times in the gym I would go to Coach Wink and I would have this mental block in my head, like I can't beat this guy in training, and when you back up and think about it, we wasn't trying to beat each other, we were trying to get better. So, after leaving and, before I left, I started thinking to myself, like, I can't be in here trying to beat him. I got to be in here trying to get myself better and make myself a better fighter. And that's what it ended up being. And then, that's when I would start to kick in the gear, and I would do good, against Donald. I would do good against other guys in the gym that I wasn't doing so good against, and the cycle comes right back around and bites you in the butt here because, I have guys like Cosmo Alexander, who's a great Thai boxer, a Brazilian Thai boxer, and he puts it on me here, and when I go to the gym, I'm not going to the gym to actually win. I'm going to get better. But, man, I've been taking some beatings here just like I was taking beatings there. And I've taken beatings in the gym my whole life, I don't mind getting beat on in the gym because I know it's just making me tougher mentally, physically, and emotionally. So, I did consider it when I took the fight, but, I'm still not the same fighter I was 6-8 months ago. I improved with leaps and bounds, and I've been taking time and studying my own craft and putting in work, especially with my ground game. What people don't realize is that Donald also has a great ground game, and if this fight ends up on the ground, I have to be prepared to defend his submission game. So he's not just a banger. He has good submission. I'm definitely right back into the high waters, just like my last fight. The only difference is the guy in my last fight didn't have good stand-up. Donald has good stand-up. So now I'm fighting two different elements.
And my next question is for Donald. Donald, listening to Melvin, obviously you've helped Melvin improve when you guys train. You've gotten the better of him sometimes in camp. How do you go into this fight not being overconfident in what you've been able to do against Melvin in camp in the past?
Oh, definitely not overconfident, man. Like I said, he's been away for a year. I don't know what Melvin's doing. He said he's been improving his striking. And don't let Melvin fool you. It's not like I just go in there and beat him down. You know what I mean? The dude throws down. He's very explosive, kicks hard, he knees. There's a lot of elements I have to worry about that he does. The guy comes and he finishes fights the first round. He hits hard. And he's wild knees. He's also a good wrestler. To get to the ground, I got to take him down. So Melvin's helped me a lot with my wrestling, and so he knows exactly what I'm going to do, trying to take him down. And, that's the thing. It's not like I'm fighting a strange guy. We know exactly what each other are going to do. So trying to keep the better of each other. So it's pretty tough. It's going to be fireworks. And I hope we bring into a street fight because I'm ready.
and last, for both of you guys, really, is the friendship factor. Will that be a factor at all when the cage door closes? I don't know. I know guys say that they can put that aside, but you guys seem to be very good friends, and this is a big fight for both of you guys. There's also been talk of a knockout if it comes. If you really hurt the other guy, will you pull back?
I mean, it's Cowboys and Indians, man. You know what I mean? And And over time, cowboys always rob the Indians for their land, so I guess I'm going to have to adopt the Indian. I'm going to play Indian. It's not, just because we friends don't mean there's going to be some kind of a setup of a fight, man. We're going to fight, and we're going to bring it, and we're gonna make our bosses happy. We're going to make the fans happy. And at the end of the fight, man, we're going to continue to be buddies again. I mean, we know it's business, but we also know what we both bring to the table. It's kind of hard for guys like me and him to fake a fight, you know what I mean, pull punches. And if I got him hurt, I'm going to take him out. And I know he'll do the same to me, you know what I mean? It's not like we're training buddies anymore. And we got everything on the line. We both chasing the titles that these two other gentlemen are actually fighting for the same night. You know, we know what's on the line, and we both want that, you know what I mean? So one of us are going to move forward from this point on, and one of us is going to take another step back. So we can't pull those punches. We have to throw and go for. We got to go for broke.
Okay.
I agree, 100%.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
Welcome.
And we will go next to Chuck Yarbrough with Cleveland Plain Dealer.
Thank you. This is for Ben and Frankie. Two different angles of the same question. Ben, you are going to your first title fight as a champion. Do you train differently or have a different mentality going into the fight, trying to hold on to the belt versus trying to take it?
I'm going to very much try and not change my mentality. I think it's very hard for guys after they win the belt to try and change up, and all of a sudden they start fighting to not lose rather than fighting to win. I'd like to maintain my fighting style. I'd like to be aggressive out there the entire time.
You're right about the press conference win. I'm going to have to go get some badass shit.
Just go beat them up.
Get sharp.
Cowboy.
Are we still going with this, or?
No, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I want to go out there. Go out there and do the same. I'm going to go do the same as I've always done.
Okay, and then to kind of turn it around with Frankie, you held on to your belt through some really tough fights with Gray Maynard and some of the other opponents by holding on to it. Now, do you have to change anything in your mind to get it back, to physically take it versus just not letting somebody take it from you?
You know, I mean, you want to go into every fight, you know, with the same mentality and just fight your fight, and that's what I want to do. I want to fight to win. You know, I always try to go out there and fight to the best of my ability and make sure I get my hand raised. You know, there's definitely more incentive, I guess, coming in, you know, on a rematch after you were the loser of the last fight. So, yeah, I mean, you want to go in there with the mentality to take it, whether you're the champion or not. So, of course, I'm going to go in there, you know, trying to take this fight.
Okay. And then Donald and Melvin, you guys both mentioned that that the title fight is up ahead of you. I'll put you on the spot right now. Pick a winner between them.
Man, for me, I respect both of those guys' crafts. I'm actually good friends with Frankie's friend, Eddie Alvarez, you know, and I think both of those guys are tremendous champions. I can't sit here and pick a winner. All I can say is I wish to fight each one of those guys one day. You know, I hope I can be in that position to fight those two guys, because those guys will be legends in this sport, and the only way you become a legend is to fight one.
Donald, same for you?
I'm not big. No, I'm here. I'm not picking a winner either. I know Frankie's coming hard to get his belt back. I know Henderson don't want to lose it, and I know that Gumby some bitch Henderson is hard to get. So my hats off to both of them.
Okay, well, good luck to all you guys, and thank you very much for doing this.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And we will go next to Stephen Marocco with MMAJunkie.com.
Hey, Melvin, expanding on what you said a little bit earlier, that you wanted to fight, you know, that you really hope to fight Frankie and Benson down the line. You know, Dana was talking about you just yesterday at the pre-fight press conference. He was saying Melvin should have been champion already. He's nutty in the head. How do you react to a statement like that? Do you agree with him? Do you think that he's off base? I mean, do you think that, like, you've lived up to your potential, or are you working to sort of working on that side of yourself, you know, these mental blocks that you talked about?
Well, for starters, you know, I'm not going to say I've always agreed with everything that the boss all, you know, have said about me, because some people still really don't know the real me. Some people don't really know the things I've been through in my life, and I know everybody have they Cinderella story of what they've been through, but mine's different because mine is mine. It's my own battles and that things I've had to battle in life. Not only battling losing a father and losing everything in Katrina, but battling drug addiction and stuff like that, and to actually have a peace of mind and do things right. And it's funny you asked that because just the other night, me and my wife was laying down, and the first thing I said was, I'm building my life around being successful, and that's what it's about. And whether it's winning in the cage, mainly winning outside the cage, doing things when people aren't looking, doing the right things when people aren't looking. That's the way I treat my life right now. I don't feel I have a mental block anymore. And my mental block wasn't really towards fighting. It was really towards my life. I thought I would end up, a broke fighter in the gutter, nothing to show for it. And, I came here to South Florida, and I teamed up with Glenn Robinson with Authentic Sports. And one thing I learned a long time ago when I was a kid was you hang with successful people, you'll become successful. And that's my mentality right now. Dana has every right to feel that way. I honestly feel I should have been a champion by now, but I've had personal issues in my personal life that set me back from being that, and I don't have those issues I'm dealing with anymore. I got rid of all the old friends. I don't have any friends anymore. I have my wife and my dogs, and everybody else is business. I treat it like business. I don't make friends with everybody because some people are the wrong kind of people. So, I could take that with a grain of salt, and I feel like that's just Dana saying, kid, get your shit together like he's always told me, and go out there and get what's mine. And right now, I got Donald standing in my way, and then I'll have one of those two guys standing in my way, hopefully, if they're still the champion.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And then for Donald, it seems like you guys are pretty much as friendly as two guys that are about to fight each other could be. It seems like there's more animosity on the horizon, so to speak, for a guy like Anthony Pettis than Melvin. Can you sort of explain your recent comments about Anthony hiding behind a shoulder injury?
Yeah, it's just a fight that I've been trying to fight Anthony for a while now, and every time I suggest it, his manager comes back and says, well, we're not really, maybe we could fight somebody else right now, and it's just always, he has an excuse to not fight. He wants to just sit and hide behind, his win over Ben and keep trying to ride that gravy train, but there's fighters that want to fight him and prove that he's just all talk, so that is a fight I definitely want. Melvin, I'm not overlooking Melvin by any means, but that's the fight I was lobbying for first before Melvin stepped up. It was Pettis, but he's like, oh, my shoulder won't be ready till October. Maybe even, I told him I'll sit and wait till December for you, but, Melvin stepped up to the fight, which is awesome. I'm so glad he did. And, but yeah, Pettis is a fight that I want.
You basically think you've earned that fight if you beat Melvin?
I don't care if I earned it or not. I still want it.
Okay.
And he ain't beat him. I'm going to beat his ass in Denver.
Thanks very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
And we will go next to Ariel Helwani with MMAFighting.com.
Well, Stephen took my Pettis question there, but I'll ask Donald one quick one about another friend of his. What do you think of what Jamie Varner has done? He's fighting tomorrow, turning around his career. Are you happy for him?
When I seen Jamie fighting Barbosa, I was lobbying for Jamie. I was like, hell yeah, he's a good boxer. Barbosa hasn't anyone that pushes back yet. And I told everyone in the room I was with, I said, Jamie's going to pull this one off. And, yeah, I am happy for him. I don't wish bad on anybody. And Varner was another name that came up in Denver, but Lazone got to fight first. So I really do hope he goes out there and I can fight him again. A great fan for the guy. He's down fighting with, or training with Ben now, I guess. I don't know how that's going. But, yeah, I'm happy for Jamie.
So you would be interested in doing that fight again? You don't want to put that behind you?
I'll fight again. As long as I fight and make money, man, that's what it's about for me. So I'll definitely take that fight again.
And just a quick one for Ben on Jamie. What has been the difference for him? Why do you think he's been able to turn his career around here? It seemed like he was pretty down there for a second.
Everyone goes through ups and downs through life. I think, life just happens. And that's the one thing you can't help that. Life happens. You're going to have downs. You're going to have your ups and your downs. With Jamie, he's gotten a down moment for a while. he came over to the lab. He's still at ECS. He goes half his time at the lab, and I think actually mostly what it is just mental, because the kid is skilled. Like he really is good. He has great boxing. His Muay Thai is pretty decent. Jiu-Jitsu's okay, working on it. He's getting better, but great wrestling. He's pretty darn good, and he's young. He's younger than I am. But the physical skills were always there. The tools, for him, was a big part of mentally being able to get past some hurdles and clear some things out and be himself, not have outside influences, portray who he is. A lot of times he gets caught up in some outside influences, saying this, saying that, and then he says this and he says that. It's not really how he feels. That's not really how the type of person he is. But he just gets caught up and hang out on those guys, and then he says some stuff that he didn't even think about. But John Crouch was able to help him with the mental aspect, the mental game of becoming himself, growing up a little bit, and a lot of it he did himself. But John Crouch, as far as MMA wise, was able to help him a ton.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
And we will go next to Mike Chiappetta with SB Nation.
I just had one quick question for Melvin, kind of following up on the thing you were asked about Dana and some of the comments he's made about you, I guess over the years, really. And in conjunction with where you want to go and saying, you do want to end up at the championship level at some point. Obviously, you've been around the UFC for several years now. You've had some high-profile fights, and some of them have not gone your way. The Stevenson fight, Diaz, Jim Miller. And so I'm wondering, given everything you've gone through in the past and some of the things that Dana said about you, do you kind of feel like almost that you're running out of chances in the UFC as far as getting to that championship level?
Hell no, I ain't running out of chances, man. I bring something different to fighting that I don't think any other guy, even the guys on the phone right now, have brought to the UFC. You know what I mean? I'm a fighter, man, and I grind. You know what I mean? And I don't like to lose. Of course, losing sucks. You know what I mean? If I had a kid and he brought home a second place trophy, I'll make him burn that shit in the tree. That's how I feel about getting second. You know what I mean? I don't like losing at all, and I don't feel I'm running out of chances. I just feel, it just wasn't my time. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't lie to you. Had I won a title when I was 23, 24 years old, I probably would have ended up on the news for some dumb drug charges and probably threw my whole life away because I would have been somebody in the spotlight at the wrong time in my life. I've matured. I've grown up. I've become an adult now. I take care of my family. I take care of myself. And right now, I'm an adult and I'm ready to wear that belt and represent the UFC as a man of integrity. And I don't feel I'm running out of time. I think right now I'm in my prime. I'm 29 years old. I'm not a kid anymore. I'm a man amongst men. And I think Dana, like I said, Dana he supported me since I've been in the UFC, since the Hurricane Katrina incident. This man has done so much for me in my personal life. A lot of people overlook that and don't realize the angel that this guy is. The least I can do is go in there and fight hard for him, and not only for him, but for myself and for my family. This honestly is kind of cliche, but this is how I eat, man. You know what I mean? And right now, it feels good to be a success story. You know what I mean? I'm actually in this phase of writing my first book, and I think right now, man, life is about enjoying it and living it hard, but being successful and not doing stupid things. I think I'm ready to be a champion right now. 5 years ago, I wasn't ready. Even if I did have the skill set as a fighter, I wasn't ready as a matured individual. I was very immature at that time. So I'm kind of happy I fell short of that glory at that time.
The Miller loss was, pretty recent. Why is it different for you, even now, 8 months later?
The Miller fight, I don't add that into that conversation. The Miller fight, it was simple. The Lozon fight, I felt like I rushed myself and I ran into a stiff jab and he caught me. Still begging for that rematch. And then the Jim Miller fight, I had him hurt several times, but all I can think to myself is be patient, be patient. Well, being too patient, I was overly patient and I didn't jump on him for the kill. And that's not like me. I'm a very killer instinct type fighter. When I smell blood, I go in for the kill. I was preaching to myself to be so patient to where I was blinded and didn't see him hurt at the times I should have. But 8 months later, you know, as you saw in my last fight 3 weeks ago, I was able to be patient but still be aggressive. The only downside to my last fight that I would criticize myself about was that I didn't finish this guy, and I could have. And that guy was considerably not that hard to finish, and I should have finished it.
Okay, thank you. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
And we will go next to Heidi Fang with MMA Fight Corner.
Hi, my first question is for Melvin. I know that you participated in a no-gi naga tournament to try to improve your submission defense and ground grappling. How did that go for you?
I wasn't able to actually do the tournament because of the scheduled fight with Donald. Like I said, as soon as I got back from Vegas, the UFC had called me a day later and asked me to fight Donald, and my coaches thought that it wouldn't be appropriate for me to go to a Naga tournament and possibly get injured. So, yeah, I mean, which makes sense because I don't get paid to grapple. I get paid to fight. But I got right back to training. I'm still in the gym grinding my gi and no-gi training. You know, just the most excitement I've had in maybe the 7-8 years of doing jiu-jitsu. This is the most excitement and the most fun I've had in a long time with doing gi and no-gi. I'm very excited about my skill set right now. I haven't been easy to tap in the gym, and I have a gym full of world-class black belts that, you know, these aren't made-up black belts. These guys are from Brazil, hardcore, and their jiu-jitsu is better than most guys I've rolled with my whole life. You know what I mean? And to not get tapped by some of these guys, you know, I haven't tapped any of them yet, but to not get tapped by any of them, I'm very pleased with that. My escapes have been great. And I just want to keep improving on the things that I'm already good at, you know what I mean? Eventually one day, you know, I'll probably tap somebody in the UFC. But in the UFC, man, you know, people don't pay to come see me tap people out. People pay to see Melvin Guillard knock people out, and that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Just to follow up with you, what are your feelings on Mike Van Arsdale leaving the Blackzilians and having Mario Sperry step in?
I'm glad he's gone. I told Glenn when I first got here, the guy wasn't a head coach. You know, no disrespect to Coach Van Arsdale, but, you know, he was never a head coach at Jackson's. I knew the real Van Arsdale before I got here, but everybody really thought I was being hard on the guy, but I really knew the real guy. And, you know, it's kind of hard to learn how to be a champion from a guy who never was a champion, or a guy who basically was brought to the UFC as a setup fight. You know, he was there. If you notice, if you go to his track record, you know what I mean, all the guys he fought that he lost to were great, like Randy Couture and Vernon White and Babalu. A lot of the guys he fought, you know, had good careers in the UFC, and I just never had that level of respect for him, the way he would talk to guys on the team. And, you know, he felt like he was this big superstar, but I knew the real Van Arsdale. So I'm happy that Coach Mario is here, though, because Coach Mario is a very, very big addition to the team. His MMA skills are better than anybody all-around MMA skills I've ever met. I mean, he's that great of a guy, and not just as a coach, but as an individual. You know, he's a very quiet, humble guy. He doesn't talk much about himself, and he wants you to just come into the gym and work hard. That's it.
All right. My next question is for Benson Henderson and Donald Cerrone. As natives of Colorado, what are your thoughts on the recent tragedy that struck the city of Aurora, and will either of you be doing anything to reach out to its victims or family?
You want that down?
So Benson first.
Well, as far as me, it's very tragic. Obviously, that's. I don't think there are enough words to talk about how crazy that is, how sad it is, how tragic it is. I was talking with my coach before about doing something as we got out there. We don't know what would be the appropriate thing to do. We're still trying to think of things. But yeah, I would like to go out there and do something to the families affected in Aurora.
Okay, and for Donald, the same question.
I was actually out here tonight. It happened. I was in Colorado, and again, very tragic. And Not about anything yet, no, but I think the UFC and hopefully me and Ben can get together and have a fight and do something while we're here in Denver.
Great. Thank you very much.
And we will go next to Jeffrey Harris with 411 Mania MMA.
Thank you very much for joining us today. For Ben, you originally tried out for the Ultimate Fighter and tried to get into the UFC that way. Can you speak at all of your journey of going through the WEC and how that maybe helped you at all?
Yeah, I did try out for the Ultimate Fighter. I think I tried out like 2 times or 3 times for the Ultimate Fighter, but I don't have the required personality for the Ultimate Fighter. I wasn't made for TV, I guess, so to speak, for reality television. I was passed up every time. I'm not that outgoing. I'm an introvert. That's all I'm saying. But the WC was awesome for me. The WC really was great. I was able to, be on a national stage, a world stage, a global stage. I was able to have some good fights, some tough opponents, and get my name out there, and have that good experience. So that, when we did merge with the UFC, I didn't have a whole lot of butterflies thinking, now we're in the UFC and yada, 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 because the WC was the exact same. Was the exact same as UFC. All the same people behind the stage, behind the scenes, the same people that did work for the UFC, worked for the WC. So I was able to get used to it, get a feel for it, and not be overwhelmed when we came over to the UFC. It was just a great overall experience. I love the WC, man.
Now, I also have another question about the YouTube video of you going to your comic shop and collecting comics. I thought that was a great video. So how exciting has it been this summer to have both an Avengers movie and The Dark Knight Rises, and which one did you like better?
It was great. It was great. I'm a big comic nerd. I'll never be ashamed of that. Not anymore. But I liked Dark Knight. It was really good. It was a really solid movie, but it didn't wow me the same way Avengers did. Avengers had that wow factor. The Dark Knight was very good. It was very solid. I loved Dark Knight a lot, but it didn't have the same wow that Avengers had. I was definitely more of an Avengers Marvel guy.
Thank you very much, and good luck to all of you at UFC 150.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And due to time constraints, we'll take our final question from Ryan Smith with MMA Meltdown.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for taking the time. The first question is actually for Donald. How much does it mean for you to find your hometown of Denver? Considering, how much does starting in Denver mean to you?
I don't know who that question is for, but it sounds like you're in a bathtub talking. I can barely hear you.
Sorry, I just messed up. Yeah, how much does fighting in Denver mean to you, considering you were born in Colorado?
Oh, no, this is the world to me, fighting. And the Pepsi Center, I've seen concerts there, and I always say, man, if UFC ever comes here, I want to be here. And then the Jones Rampage fight came here, and it's an honor. It's a dream come true. So walking out Saturday night is going to be unbelievable.
And kind of the same question for Melvin. Melvin, what's it like to be fighting in Donald's hometown? Is it going to affect you at all?
Y'all saying I'm the challenger because that's what I'm reading here. You know what?
You're just fighting the hometown boy.
You know what? It's sad that I'm going to have to go beat up the hometown boy in his hometown, but I'm happy that, he's getting the chance to fight in his hometown because, I actually passed up my offer to fight in New Orleans to fight in Houston, and I ended up losing to Lozon, and I've been regretting it ever since. So I've been thinking to myself, like, I can't wait till the UFC goes back to New Orleans because I will fight on the next New Orleans card. But, it's all I could think of was when they called me and asked me to fight him, the first thing I thought was everybody else must that's how most of the guys in our weight class are. They like to say no to certain fighters, and they want to fight certain guys because they think it's an easier fight. There's no such thing as an easy fight in the UFC. Everybody's tough. Everybody has their day. I'd rather lose a fight to a somebody than to lose to a nobody. And I'm not saying I'm going in there to lose. I go to win every fight. But there are a lot of guys that play it safe like that, and I figured they did ask Donald they probably asked maybe 3 or 4 other guys to fight Donald, and they probably said no, or they said, oh, I'm not ready, I'm injured. And you know what? I'm coming off a fight. I'm not injured. I came out of a fight, 3-round fight, and I won every round. No minor injuries, no any kind of injuries. I feel like it's an opportunity of a lifetime to fight a guy in his hometown. I'm excited.
Thank you. Question for Frankie. Frankie, how did you change your game since the first fight to become a better fighter and to show something different for Ben in the rematch?
Just improving in all areas. Once you get to this level, it's small adjustments. I think everyone on the phone now is good at everything. To be where we're at, but you got to make some small adjustments, and then I feel I've done that.
Last question. This is next for Frankie and Ben. What can fans expect out of the rematch, considering how good your first fight was?
What was the question?
Anybody can take it. What can fans expect out of the rematch, considering how good your first fight was for both Ben and Frankie?
Yeah, it's expected, a repeat performance from both of us. I know we're coming in hard to get this title, and I think it's going to be fireworks. I think it's going to be super entertaining, and, make sure you buy that pay-per-view.
Yeah, I have to completely second that. I think it's going to be another great fight, another great performance from both of us. The biggest thing, I think, is that, we both always bring it. We both always have good, entertaining fights. We don't need to, talk smack and hate each other. We don't need to, dislike the guy or be, hateful towards each other. But, we always put on a great show. That's going to stay the same in Denver.